the biggest story in the sport right now is that Arizona State's quarterback, Jayden Daniels, is officially reporting and transferring to LSU. Daniels is a former four-star quarterback out of California. He passed for over 6,000 yards and 32 touchdowns in 3 seasons at Arizona State. He's also rushed for over 1,213 touchdowns on the ground. He will join a loaded quarterback room, right? Miles Brennan, who announced a couple of months ago that he is returning to LSU after putting his name into the transfer portal. Kelly, Frank Wilson, offensive staff, Mike Denbrock, and crew were able to talk Brennan out of the portal back to LSU. So he's in the room as a senior. Garrett Nussmeier is in that room as a redshirt freshman. And then Walker Howard is going to come in as a 5-star, top overall quarterback, one of the tops in the country, with the intent of redshirting. It seems like Howard is going to be a guy that's going to, he's going to have to get healthy. But there's not much intent of him taking meaningful snaps in his true freshman season. Daniel's going to have 2 years of eligibility remaining at LSU. So what does that do to the quarterback dominoes, right? What does that do to the shuffle of the room? At this point, we talked about this last week. This is not surprising to me because when you step away and look at the whiteboard of the quarterback room at LSU, right? Everything that's there. Miles Brennan, established guy, has the tenure, has the days in college football, but doesn't have the security of making it through a season injury-free when it was time for him to play. So you've got Brennan, the senior, the guy that inevitably it feels like it's his job, but do you have the confidence from a coaching standpoint that he can make it through this season healthy? And his track record would tell you no. So from a coaching standpoint, you've got to prepare for that, right? And if you're looking at that room and you're saying you're a snap away from Garrett Nussmeier being your full-time starter as a redshirt freshman, you're 2 snaps away from having to burn a red shirt on Walker Howard, who you want to get healthy, and you really want him to sit back and have an opportunity to watch the speed, the flow, and get used to college football. Maybe he has to play or can play a couple of games and he doesn't burn his red shirt. All in all, that's a successful season for LSU. But are you committed or are you secure enough that you can take all these guys in and you can be competitive? And from Brian Kelly's standpoint, I understand where, from a security standpoint, he would say, hey, we need one more established guy. We need one guy who we can count on who says, look, he's played, he's started, he's competed at a high level. He understands what the speed of the game is at this point in his career. And Jayden Daniels, why I don't see him as being a savior. He may not even be the starter. But I see him as being a viable candidate to compete. And I see him as a security blanket that if he's not the starter, he's somebody that you can throw in there that has game experience, that's not just going, to let it run down his leg. So, I understand why LSU has done this. I understand why LSU has put another guy in that room just from a competition standpoint. But when you step away from it, you look down what LSU's playing with. They signed 15 high school prospects and they got 13 transfers out of the portal. Daniels will put the signee count at 14 transfers with 29 total scholarship signees in for the 2022 cycle. That means he's got 3 open spots remaining before he hits that 32 signee cap. With the transfers, the signees, and Daniels is in that mix now. LSU will open spring practice on March 23rd. Put it on the poll.
That's what I was about to ask you.
Poll question. Southern Eye Center. Poll question of the day. Who's your starting quarterback when LSU takes the field again against Florida State in the Superdome next August?
I think it's Jayden Daniels.
Is it Daniels? Is it Brennan? Is it Nussmeier?
Ooh.
Could Nuss make a run at this thing? But now with Jayden Daniels in the mix, who, again, technically has 2 years of eligibility remaining at LSU, so he's not coming in here as just a 1-year stopgap for LSU. That would be Brennan. Daniels has got 2 years remaining. We'll see. I know that Joe Sloan was huge in the recruitment of this. Sloan, of course, the quarterback's coach at LSU. After speaking to some people with LSU's football program, they are very high on what Sloan can do for the quarterback development in that room, all in all, not just for Daniels, Nussmeier, Howard, even Brennan. So it'll be interesting to see how that room continues to evolve and develop over the next couple of months, weeks, with spring on the horizon. As we said, spring will start March 23rd for LSU. Brennan and Nussmeier have 4 combined starts between them. It's easy to understand why Brian Kelly in year 1 looks at that number and says, whoa. We got to make sure that we've got somebody in place that can add some more depth to the quarterback room at LSU. If you're looking at only 4 combined starts with the experienced guys in that quarterback room, and you've got Walker Howard coming in after, some offseason medical stuff that he's dealing with, that's not the security you're looking for in year 1 to be competitive in the SEC. You're looking for another guy that you can throw into the mix from just a standpoint of, hey, man, we got to have the bodies. You got to have the depth. You got to have the security of, if you're on the road in the conference and somebody gets knocked out, that you don't have to look at, Garrett Nussmeier 6 games in who hadn't taken a snap and only has, 2 starts in his college career to say, hey, man, get in there and go play. We'll see, man. Poll question is up. Southern Eye Center, Jefferson Highway. Stop in there. Mention the Jordy Culotta Show. They take 25% off the sunglass selection over there with Dr. Andy Shaw. But Miles Brennan, Jayden Daniels, Garrett Nussmeier. If Walker Howard starts a game for LSU that means anything, they're in serious trouble. Big trouble. Walker Howard's got to get healthy first. He is the future of LSU football. No question about it. That's exactly why you don't want to fast play him into his first year. Take it slow, get him medically right, let him see the speed of the game, take him on road trips, let him see road environments. If there's an opportunity to put him into blowouts or, get him some good experience, maybe throw him out there when you feel like he's healthy enough to go do it, but he should never take a meaningful snap in the next 365 days. Jayden Daniels, Miles Brennan, Garrett Nussmeier, those guys got to be ready to play. What's the possibility that Brennan goes through spring and sees that he may not be the guy and he puts his name back into the portal?
How healthy is he really?
I don't know that.
That's what I'm saying. We don't know. You mentioned how many games has he played in at LSU, and he's been here for 5 years?
He started 2.
He started 2 games.
He started Mississippi State and Missouri. Now, he's played in a lot of games, right? He saw some action in 19 with Burrow, where he got in there.
He saw some in
17 in Alabama.
Against Troy.
Shit, he played against Alabama.
Yeah, he did.
Turn on that film.
Yes.
He looks 14 years old out there. His arms look like spaghetti noodles coming out of his shoulder pads. He has no business being out there. But, Cam Cameron and Les Miles signed Miles Brennan, to give you an idea of just how far back Miles Brennan dates at LSU, right? And the thing about Brennan that I think is, very endearing, and I think that, especially the rabid part of the fan base can understand, is that Brennan grew up wanting to play football for LSU, right? I think that's all the majority of our fandom starts, right? We all see ourselves in purple and gold. We all see ourselves running out of the chute on a Saturday night. That's how it all kind of starts for you as a kid. But then, ultimately you kind of grow up and you realize, oh, okay, it's pretty hard to do, You know, I mean, it's hard to get a scholarship and play at LSU. It's even harder to play quarterback at that position. I mean, at that school. And Brennan really kind of, he's right there. He's right there. He's been there for 5 years. He's been in that quarterback room. He's had opportunities to start. He's been the starter. He's been the backup to Burrow. He's won the national championship. He's seen it at the elite level. He wants it. He's always wanted it. How can you tell anybody, man, stop chasing it? So from that standpoint, you pull for Brennan. You feel like, man, he's paid his dues. He's gone through all the adversity. He's gone through all of the injuries. Now's the time, right? And still, as I sit here and tell you the quarterback breakdown, I don't know. If I was betting on it, I'd probably bet on Nussmeier or Daniels to win the job. I think that Myles Brennan is an elite passer of the football and has as good arm strength as you'll probably find in football, all levels. I really believe that Myles Brennan could probably get a spot on an NFL roster just because of his ability to throw the football. I really do. I don't think that there's a pass in the game that Brennan can't make. I mean, he's got a whip for an arm. But he can't move. He's got injury concerns. And he's playing this year against, behind, again, another questionable offensive line going into the season. They may surprise us. Will Campbell, Miles Frazier, some of these incoming guys, Emory Jones that may step up and play. They may, bring some stability to the unit. You finally have some guys up there that can protect. But right now, it's a question mark for LSU again. And if you've got Brennan standing in cement behind an offensive line that can't protect, it doesn't matter if he's Dan Marino or if he's Myles Brennan. Guys that are immobile behind a bad offensive line are in trouble. And I don't know if this team best suits Myles Brennan to be the starter. So if he comes out of spring and he realizes, oh shit, this is about to happen to me again. As a fifth-year senior, how could you blame him for just saying, you know what, man, I'm going to Southern Miss. I'm going to Tulane. I'm going to McNeese. I'm going to Southeast. I'm going somewhere where I can start and play every single down, put film out there, have a good experience in playing football, and see if I can play at the next level. Or do you gamble? Going through the offseason, the summer at LSU, the fall camp, and wondering, are you going to be the starter or not? There's a possibility that two other guys, don't count Nussmeier out of this competition. I'm not counting Nussmeier out of this thing. Just because he's got two guys older than him in this competition does not mean to me that Nussmeier can't jump up and snag this starting spot. New coaching staff. He's got the skill set that fits a 2022 offense in college football better than just about anybody in that room, or as good as anybody in that room. He's got the confidence and swagger where he believes he's the top dog. And he's going through an offseason where he knows he's right there. He's right there. So I'd imagine his jump, his leap from year 1 to year 2 is going to be very great. The stride he makes between year 1 and year 2 is going to be enough where Sloan, Denbrock, Kelly all say, I mean, Nussmeier he's in this thing, man. I mean, you can't count him out. It's not just going to be Daniels or Brennan because they're the experienced guys. And if that's Myles Brennan's point of view where you're like, fuck, I thought it was just going to be me versus Nussmeier. Now it's me versus another senior, another guy with experience, another guy that comes in here with a different skill set than me. I don't know. I'm not trying to build storylines. I'm just saying, what if? I mean, I could see it where Brennan comes out of spring and says, writing's on the wall. You're going to be in it, but you're not going to be the guy. And he just says, I'm going to be the guy. How could you blame him? It's so easy today in college football. The players have all the power. And this is really kind of the example that it's built for. I've done my time. I've paid my dues. I've given the university everything I can. I want to be here. I want to play. But I don't know if I am. And I've only started 2 games. I want to go play, man. I mean, at the end of it, he's a football player. I know that we will crack on him, but you look at him and, he's hunting, he's fishing, he's dancing at walk-ons, he's doing stuff where you're like, maybe he doesn't really care. He still loves football, wants to play. So if he goes through spring, man, Daniels, which I think is a huge advantage for Daniels. He's here today. He's enrolled. He's going to be ready for spring practice on March 23rd. He's going to be in the off-season workouts. By the time fall gets here, he's going to be in Baton Rouge for 8 months, 7 months. He'll be comfortable. He'll know what it looks like, how it operates. Be interesting, man.
Do you think that there's no world where both of them are on the opening day roster?
Maybe. I'm not saying.
I would imagine.
But I think once it starts, no, I don't think Daniels is going. He can't transfer twice.
But I think they both come here with the intention to start. Like that, Jayden Daniels left Arizona State because it's a shitstorm over there, and then he saw LSU. He's like, well, I'm coming there to play. Miles Brennan came back to LSU to play. So I'd imagine when it gets down to it, one of the two is going to be able to have to make a decision, like you said, where I don't know why I'm here if I'm not going to be the starting quarterback. And the same thing goes for Garrett Nussmeier. The way that this room looks now will probably not look the same in the fall.